So last night, AEW had another Grand Slam this year, this time in Mexico. The last one they had was in Brisbane, Australia, earlier this year. And it got criticized for the fact that, one, originally it was supposed to be at Suncorp Stadium, didn't sell enough tickets, so they had to go indoors, and they couldn't refund anybody that, was going to try to travel and everything for this event, internationally and stuff like that. And basically they went from like a bigger stadium, Suncorp Stadium, to a small venue. They got criticized for that, no refunds, ripping off, and all that. And then, on top of that, they were also criticized for the ring they were using. The ring basically being, apparently, allegedly, but apparently from Kyle Fletcher, who's a native Australian, from one of his hometown, home region promotions in the ring, because AEW apparently, just like WCW in the past, used an 18 by 18 ring, sometimes 19 by 19, and on occasions, rare occasions, 20 by 20. But mostly it's like 18 by 18 or 19 by 19. The ring they used in Australia was smaller than that. That was more like a 16 by 16, if not a 15 by 15. And they tried to cover it, said no, it wasn't. It was all ring and all that, but nobody believed it. Nobody bought it. And I think they did just come out and admit in their own kind of way that, yeah, the ring was, lent to us and everything. So they got criticized for that. Well, tonight they kind of made up for it a little bit more with this Grand Slam. This Grand Slam was presented more production, presented more, I guess you could say, I'm trying to find the right word to say. It was presented more, I guess the word you have to use is elite. It was presented more elite-like. It was presented more professionally. No rip-offs, no refunds were needed, and everything. It was presented as it was planned. Except again, the ring they were using, the CMLL ring. At least was alluding to it. It's an AEW. Well, it's an AEW ring, but it's a CMLL ring. I think you can tell it's CMLL. But that ring was a little smaller. So that's excusable. So that's excusable. But they did get criticized because Tony decided to book a lot of matches. One of the matches he booked was a 14-man tag team match. Basically, a 14-man Lucha Tag match. And the ring was barely big enough to, do this kind of match. So you had to have some of the participants, waiting outside the ring, like doing what I'm doing right now, just standing. They were just standing like, just waiting to go in. And it was a match consisted under Lucha Tag rules, so you didn't have to really tag in. You just went in there when somebody went out. But yeah, basically they were essentially, they essentially put on a match that, they could have just shortened down to, 7-on-7 or 8-on-8, but instead of well, it was 7-on-7, I guess you could say, or something like that, but they could have shortened to 4-on-4 or 6-on-6 or something like that, mainly 4-on-4, because later on that night they had a 10-man tag. But still, they had the criticisms and everything, so there's no getting around that. And one of the biggest criticisms they got last night was, once again, Mercedes Mone, FKA Sasha Banks, formerly Sasha Banks, once again became a champion. And this time winning the CMLL Women's Championship. The one that she competed against Stephanie Valkyr for, and Stephanie Valkyr's only AEW or second and last, I think, AEW match. But yeah, basically Mercedes ended up winning the CMLL Reina de Reinas championship, and a lot of people were very critical about this decision, because it's like, again, another one. And it's gotten to a point that even someone like Alex Alex Six, formerly Deluxe Man, even he's joking around by saying, "Hey Tony, you really want to piss people off? Give Mercedes all the belts. Give her the women's championship at All In. Give her you create tag titles, find her a partner, give her those too. He's getting to a point that sarcastically, he's playing with the idea that Tony would go and do this. He would actually go and book Mercedes to not only be the women's champion at All In Texas, but also become one half of the tag champs, just because of the fact that she is becoming a belt collector, giving herself the nickname of 5 belts Mone, 6 belts Mone, 4 belts Mone. And the reason this basically got a lot of people talking is because it seems that everything people have said about Mercedes not having creative control, even though she said it herself in a TMZ interview or on the street interview, she said it herself, she has creative control. Even though a lot of people, even in the company, have said that's not true, pretty much it seems I wouldn't say day after day, but it seems, moment after moment after moment, match after match she is in, not just for AEW, but other places, she is winning a championship. Heck, she made a surprise appearance in Austria for, what was it, EWA, I think that's the name of it, EWA, and she won the women's championship in an impromptu matchup in a small venue. Basically, I would say this venue was, lengthwise, the size of my room, combine the size of my room with the guest room across from me, which is basically the same size, but expanded out to where the seats were like where the kitchen is over here, the living room is over there, the master bedroom is here, bathrooms over there, garage over there. Basically she rolled up in a car or some kind of Rolls Royce or whatever it was, and participated in the match and became the EWA champion. And it's like people are like, what is going on here? It's like, how did she pull that off? And then you got Rev Pro, basically, letting her win their championship, and then she's winning the Queen of Wrestling championship, and it's like, what is going on? The only championship she's ever lost, out of all the belts she has, the only championship she's lost is the New Japan Strong Championship, but she didn't get pinned. Yeah, she had a reaction of like, what the heck just happened, whether or not that was planned or not, that reaction was planned or not. She had that reaction of, what the heck just happened? Because all of a sudden she lost, but she wasn't pinned. Now, maybe she knew she was going to lose, but she wasn't going to get pinned. Maybe that was the agreement. But still, she had a reaction still like she couldn't believe that what she probably knew was going to happen, happened. So the thing is right now is a lot of people are looking at this, and this makes them more worried, especially what happened afterwards with Tony Storm. It makes them more worried that what they feel Tony Khan's going to do is going to happen at All In, and that is he's going to give her the championship. He's going to give her the women's championship. But, the question is why? Why would he, go and do this and everything? Why would he go and, give her the women's championship and all that? Well, it's obviously real simple. You see, I've thought about this in my own way. I've thought about this from my own, perspective and everything. And I'm sure, I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone in this, if you will. But my thought process is, and I was just checking something there, guys. I got the security camera on for reasons. Those of you that follow me for 17 years, you know what those reasons are. But anyway, to get back on point, basically I've had this thought in my mind that there's a reason why Mercedes has worked it out, not just with Tony Khan and AEW, but every promoter she's gone and worked for post WWE. You see, we all know she's heading back to WWE. There's no doubt. In fact, she's even made it clear herself in various interviews that that's the goal. But if that's the goal, why is she winning all these titles? It's real simple. She's doing it not just in AEW, but every place she's gone, Rev Pro, Queens of Wrestling, EWA, CMLL, New Japan Strong, you name it. She's doing it for one reason, and that is to send a message to Triple H, Nick Khan, and TKO, stating that when I come back, when I come back to the company, this is how you treat me. This is how you book me. You book me to be the boss. You book me to be the CEO. You book me to be the most dominant women's wrestler on your roster. You book me to be the basically it's her way of saying when I come back, you book me as the face of that division. That's why this is happening. She's not just doing it because she wants to prove herself and everything, as the best women's wrestler in the modern era, or one of them anyway. She's doing it because she's sending a message to Triple H. She's sending a message to Nick Khan. She's sending a message to TKO that when she comes back, that what she's doing outside of the company, that's how they book her there. And if you don't believe that's the case, then I don't know. Then I don't know what else you could believe. And you also got to realize this too. She's a smart businesswoman. She has a home. She has her own. I guess you could say establishment, her own brands and everything. So she's smart. She's smart enough to realize her value, and she knows that TKO Endeavor is a business first. And she realizes that if she does this is from her point of view, in my opinion, that if she does all this, then upon her return, it won't be WWE that gets behind her and wants to push her to, be the face of the women's division, be booked in a very similar manner. It's going to be TKO and Endeavor. That's why she's doing all this. Don't believe me? Watch what happens when she does arrive or does come back to WWE. When that moment happens and she starts going on a winning streak, very similar to what you've been seeing outside of WWE, then you'll know. Then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, to be true. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys.